As for chi-square test, we need to have our data arranged in a specific fashion, and the fashion requires counting of variables. So we need to have two variables, and one of them is like this one, and the other is like this one. So what I mean by this one and that one, I mean it should be dichotomous, like the variable has two categories, and each category has its special count. So each variable has two categories to be counted. These are called observed values. And in the observed values, you can get grand totals, both in column-wise and row-wise. So these are grand totals of the rows, and these are grand totals for the columns. And this is the grand total of the totals. So the total of these two should be the same as the total of these two. However, this one here is the observed value, and I'm going to show you how to generate this. We need to have percentage values in order to calculate the expected values from the observed values. Then we can calculate the p-value for chi-square test and decide on it. Right. So this is the row data here. Let's generate our crosstab from this data set that we have. This is real data, and the data is about relationship between touching a cat or contacting a cat with whether or not the person's IgG was reactive or non-reactive. So let's go ahead and create our table. The first thing that we've got to do is to select our data. We go to Insert Pivot Table, and you select the existing worksheet for the table to generate. Here we get IgG and contact with cat. So one of them should go to the columns and the other to the rows, and we need to have counting. So we count the contact with cat, or we count the IgG responsiveness. Now we get this table directly generated for us. We can further manipulate this table by clicking on it, going to Design, Report Layout, and clicking on Show in Tabular Form. Now we know that this is non-reactive, this is reactive, this is no and yes for contact with cat. And we got the grand totals. Now we copy this and paste the values only here, and we name this as observed values. So once this is generated, we need to calculate the percentage values. So as for the percentage values, we can create it this way. Like we can say this is equal to this value divided by the grand total. This will give us 0.87, which means 87%. So we can copy and paste this here for the value, and we press this one, it becomes 88%. So this button here, if you can see, this converts the data to percentage if you are interested in seeing the percentage values. The same goes for this one divided by the grand total, and you get 12%. The sum of these two should be 100%. And yeah, the same goes here, converting it to percentage values if you are interested in getting the percentage values like this, as I told you earlier. Now we need to have the same table set up, like this, while removing these data. So this is just a layout, for the expected values. We make expectations based on certain calculations. So for the first one, what we can do is to multiply the first column grand total. By the way, you have to put them in parentheses, multiply it by the percentage value that you have. Now you get 54. The same goes for the next value. You multiply it by the percentage value and you get 7. This is the expected value. Now, if we want to calculate this, we multiply it by the next row here, and this one here is also equal to this number multiplied by this percentage value. Now, we got our expectations, and we sum them up. To see whether we get the same grand totals or not. So there are variations within each values, but it's actually the same grand total. We don't need to calculate the percentage values for this one because it's all the same. So we go ahead and calculate the ChiSquare. So we write down it's equal to chi-test, and it asks for the actual range, which is the observed values, then the expected values, and that would give us 0.22. If it's bigger than 0.05, we would say that there is no significant difference between the observed and expected values. What does that mean? Here it means that the two variables are not dependent on one another. So it means that touching a cat, according to this data, is not significantly related to being reactive to IgG. That's what it means. So that's it about chi-square test. Hope you got it.